Hi Bilge, I'm Zeynep Tufan from the School of the Tourism and Hospitality, and welcome to our project. Our lessons is wellness and happiness, and our project is about why high school students have some kind of stress and anxiety during their university exam process actually, and how can actually these students get rid of this kind of stress and the anxiety levels, or the problems. But first, actually, I want to talk about why we choose this project, because actually me and my group members, which they are Eda, Buse, Rumeysa, Vefa, and me, we think that every student who deal with the exams and everything can quietly pass through the same way. So we are now here in college, and we think that if we can if we choose this projects, we can help to the futures college students, so we think that it's to help the people who try to find a solution for their stress and their anxiety levels. I hope you can love it, and I hope you can find it effectively to your problem. And stress can be positive or negative for students' performance. For example, an optimal or ideal level of the stress can motivate the students improve his or her performance, and so it is defined as the moderate stress. However, excess stress, called negative stress, so can cause the study not to study directly or efficiently and fail. That's the result with the failures. The optimum point is that research by stress over time brings to the performance to the desired level, and at this point actually we can say that students study at the best performance level or prepare for the exam, because their only focus is to pass the exam and take the good points from the grade or from the exam. If the certain level is exceeded, the students becomes less successful and more anxious and more prone to the fatigue and delusion and more exam anxiety actually. We can say that it may seem difficult, to separate out whether the stress is more or less. And actually at this point, it is seen that students who experience potential or optimal levels of stress experience energy loss, but are still motivated to to study and to take the exam. But however, sometimes it is observed that students who experience excessive stress, that is negative stress, and experience a loss of motivation similar to burnout. In other words, actually, we can say that understand that the student is experiencing more positive or negative stress by looking at his or her motivation. So let's begin with what is the exam anxiety, why we can always deal with the stress anxiety all the time. Exams coming up, sometimes the pressures of exams may cause the stress. Of course, stress is your response to the to pressure, and while a small amount of pressure can be useful to keep you focused during the exam time, if it becomes too much study, it seems impossible, and the person who try to deal with and try to study for that exam, it may directly seem that that can be fake. Of course, if you are experiencing exam stress, it is important to remind yourself that it's only a small part of your life, and even though it might not feel like it at that time, so you need to you don't need to think the university's exams everything for your future or for your life. You don't need to think that, because it's only the exam. It cannot explain to your future. Exam anxiety actually is defined as the intense anxiety that prevents the learned information from being used efficiently during the exam, and it leads to the decrease in success. So this can lead to anxiety, of course, and emotional, physical, mental distresses. Sometimes uneasiness, anxiety, fear of failure, unwillingness to work, or loss of self-confidence, feelings of inadequate physiological symptoms such as nausea, tremor, dry mouth, sweating, insomnia, abdominal pain, other physical symptoms such as a feeling faintness, or the inability to decide, empty your mind, attention and focus manifests itself in problems, such as the mental symptoms. Also, these symptoms of exam anxiety make a person and his or her environment very anxious and exam as if they will not pass or, difficult threat. They can be resolved permanently within 1 or 2 months with some, psychotherapy methods. In fact, when we briefly explain to the differences and the connections between anxiety, fear and stress, it's also easier to understand why it can be disappeared and in a short time, actually, we can say that. And it may become, clear why we well-meaning words of the person's experience anxiety or to their reality, such as, work hard or calm down, increase anxiety even more. Why we need to experience the exam stress? Because exam stress is normal and and very common. We actually might experience because people are worried about how well you will do in the exam actually, and how people find it hard to understand what they are studying, or people can feel that unprepared or haven't had time to study. So you can all the time, or people all the time deal with these hard times of their life. But if you had exam anxiety or exam stress before, you can directly and easily can overcome this kind of problem. Actually, we can say that practical ideas to help with the study, and for example, go to the bed and the reasonable time, or eat regularly and make time to have fun and exercise. Cut back energy, on energy drinks, coffee, or any other stimulants, as these can make you feel agitated. Drink water instead, of course. And the final thing is, when you eat, relax and allow yourself time rather than carrying on with work, it can directly affect your, not only actually your mind, but also actually affects your body directly, because we don't need to forget that exam, that's coming, and most of the, or majority high school students deal with this kind of stress, but we can actually learn day by day how can we overcome or deal with the stress and these kind of issues. So right now my friends Eda, Buse, Rumeysa and Vefa explain to you what are the reasons to the students feeling anxiety and stress, and how can they reduce this kind of stress, and what is the treatment way for them try to solving the problem. Hope you can like it. So the word is my friends.
Hi, my name is Rumeysa, and today I'm going to present depression in high school students and how can we treat this mental illness. So I hope you like it, and I hope you enjoy it. So, okay. Most teens feel unhappy at times. And when you add hormone havoc to the many other changes happening in a teen's life, it's easy to see why their moods swing like pendulum. Yet findings show that 1 out of every 8 adolescents has teenage depression, but depression can be treated as well as the serious problems that come with it. So if your teen's unhappiness lasts for more than 2 weeks and they display other symptoms of depression, it may be time to seek help from a health professional. So why do adolescents get depression? Well, there are multiple reasons why a teenager might become depressed. For example, teens can develop feelings of worthlessness and inadequacy over their grades, school performance, social status with peers, sexual orientation, or family life can each have a major effect on how a teen feels. Sometimes teen depression may result from environmental stress, but whatever the cause, when being with friends or family or doing things that the teen usually enjoys don't help to improve their sadness or sense of isolation, there's a good chance that they have teen depression. So how can we treat this? How is teen depression treated? So there are a variety of methods used to treat depression, including medications and psychotherapy. Family therapy may be helpful if family conflict is contributing to a teen's depression. The teen will also need support from family or teachers to help with any school or peer problems. Occasionally, hospitalization in a psychiatric unit may be required for teenagers with severe depression. Your mental health care provider will determine the best course of treatment for your teen. The FDA warns that antidepressants medications can rarely increase the risk of suicidal thinking and behavior in children and adolescents with depression and other psychiatric disorders. Use of antidepressants in younger patients therefore requires especially close monitoring and followed up by the treating doctor. If you have questions or concerns, discuss them with your healthcare provider, or you can advise your school counselor. So how does yoga affect depression? How can we treat our depression with doing meditation and yoga? So more studies are using randomized control trials to look at the relationship between yoga and depression. Randomized control trials are the best way to verify results. According to the Harvard Mental Health Letter, recent studies suggest that yoga can reduce the impact of stress, help with anxiety and depression via self-soothing technique similar to meditation, relaxation, and exercise, improve energy. And yoga is a physical exercise that involves different body poses, breathing techniques, and meditation. The therapy may help with depression and your symptoms, such as difficulty concentration or loss of energy. Many people use yoga therapy to manage mental and emotional problems, such as stress, anxiety, or depression. Conditions and disorders such as ongoing low back pain, chronic or long-term pain, overall health and well-being. And you can find yoga classes at fitness studios, hospitals, and local community centers. The classes can be gentle or challenging depending on the style. So, strategies for warding of adolescents' depression. What are these? You can spend time in nature. So how is that going to happen? Spending time in nature through outdoor therapy can improve mental health in a number of ways. For one, time outdoors have been shown to decrease levels of stress, depression, and anxiety. Moreover, being outside in nature is proven to reduce stress by lowering the stress-associated chemical cortisol. So, and the second thing is teen meditation yoga. An increasing number of studies show that mindfulness meditation can help support teen mental health. Meditation encourages us to witness our emotions, from a distance rather than getting caught in them. A review study at Johns Hopkins found that meditation was just as effective as antidepressant in treating symptoms of anxiety and depression. So, and the third one is exercise. Research shows that exercise combats depression by increasing the body's production of endorphins. These are the brain's feel-good chemicals. Moreover, doing a physical activity you enjoy can increase feeling of mastery and self-confidence. Therefore, choose something you like to do so that exercise won't feel like a chore. So, how does yoga therapy works? Dr. Mason Turner of the Kaiser Permanente Medical Group says yoga therapy can be very powerful in the treatment of depression. Even if yoga isn't your forte, a combination of meditation and physical movement provide two important elements for revealing depression. Meditation helps bring a person into the present moment and allows them to clear their minds. Control, focus movement also helps change the body-mind connection. Breath exercise are effective in reducing depressive symptoms. According to one study, you may find yoga helpful as the exercise focuses on deep, controlled breathing. So, types of adolescent depression, and there are probably 7 types of depression for this. I mean, there are several types of depression, of course, and the most common depressive disorders include the following that I'm going to tell. First one is major depression. Severe depression that can incapacitate those who are suffering, making it difficult or impossible to do anything, to do normal daily activities such as working, studying, sleeping, and even eating. And the second one is persistent depressive disorder, a chronic low-grade depression that can get better or worse over time. And third one is melancholic depression, a particularly severe form of major depressive disorders characterized by persistent feelings of extreme sadness and hopelessness. And the fourth one is psychotic depression, severe depression accompanied by delusion or hallucination. And the fifth one, seasonal affective disorder, shortly SAD, a cyclical depression that comes and goes with the seasons. And the last one is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, an extreme form of premenstrual syndrome that can manifest as intense and debilitating mood shiftings. So what we can say to parents, tips for parents shortly. Parents should encourage self-care. While your child is at home, help them instill healthy habits in terms of nutrition, sleep, and exercise. Hopefully, those habits will stick when they head off to college. Listen carefully. Whether you're talking with your teen at dinner on the phone while they are away at school, pay attention and watch for warning signs. Don't get mad so easily. Instead of pushing your teens, you find out they have been having behavior or mental health issues. Respond with compassion and invite them to share what's going on. I mean, and make sure they get help. If you're concerned that your teen is depressed, have them talk to a school counselor, therapist, or a doctor. It's always better to address the problem before it gets worse. So that was all. And thank you for listening. I hope I can help someone with telling this, because depression is quite serious issues for me. And when I was at high school, when I was preparing for my university exam, I think I suffered from a bit, because days were suffocate me. I mean, I didn't even want to wake up. I mean, getting out of the bed was the most painful thing in my life. So I used to dream that I wish I could just lay in my bed and I wish everyone would forget about me. But of course, it's not possible. So it's the best way to consult a school therapist, I think. It really helps. I mean, I didn't go there, but I wish I would. So it would help me so much. So that was all. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you could learn something from it. That was all. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Eda Buse. I'm going to talk about high school students and some of their stress factors. Stress is very common in today's world in these circumstances, and young people are one of the groups that experience the highest level of stress. High school students face many challenges during this important period of development, change, and awareness, and stress takes place in the middle of their lives actually. One of the biggest causes of stress is the pressure exerted by their social environment, by their peers. High school is the period when adolescents need validation and acceptance, and they may act like someone they are not in order to adapt an environment. And this puts them under stress, obviously. For example, they may bully or give in to bullying even though they are not a person like that. Or they may be encouraged by harmful habits such as drugs or cigarettes, and they may adapt to this situation even if they don't want it. Another example is they take dangerous risks while driving to look cool to others, to their friends. The trigger underlying this behavior is that they think that they will not be included in some of activities. They will not be able to make enough friends or they will be excluded. In this process, where high school students are in search of identity, which is really important in this period of time in high school, such behaviors and of course their effects and consequences are the biggest triggers of stress. The first thing to do overcome the stress caused by social environment is students should be able to distinguish unhealthy relationships. In other words, they should make friends who accept them who they are without any judgment about their habits or their behaviors. Also, they can try breathing exercises to overcome stress. When the student is going to enter a stressful environment, he can choose one of the breathing exercises before entering or later in his spare time. He can relax his body and reduce his stress by combining breathing exercises with meditation or alone. Some of the many types of breathing techniques are pursed lip method, the diaphragm method, and the alternative nostril method. The purpose of pursed lip method is to slow the breathing by pursing the lips while exhaling through the nose. From the diaphragm method, as the name suggests, breathing is taken by the diaphragm with the abdomen, and the rib cage is kept constant. So, high school students can control stress this way with breathing techniques. Uh, with breathing techniques. According to psychologist Rolf Moos, identity is not a personality trait presented to an individual or something that occurs as a result of individual's maturation. It's a formation that he finds with questions such as who am I? What's my purpose? Therefore, while this process in which a high school student tries to find out who he is stressful in itself actually. Just like that. The negative effect of the people around them puts students even more stressed. Although it's a very annoying to still talk about this in the 21st century, being excluded and judged because of race, language, religion, or sexual orientation is also one of the biggest causes of stress among high school students. As I just mentioned, at a time where there is a need for approval and acceptance, children are judged for who they are, and the inability to adapt becomes a precursor to stress. To solve this, children need to be taught by their parents or teachers that these traits are not something to be ashamed of or despised, but rather what makes them who they are. In such cases, another method of reducing stress can be PMR. This method, used by psychotherapists, takes place by contracting and relaxing the muscles. It is used to relax when stress manifests in itself in our body. As you know, people, students diagnosed with COVID-19 should stay in isolation at home for a long time. And accordingly, sleep disorders and the most important one is anxiety problems have increased due to being sick as well as not being able to socialize and similar factors. In the experiments, a group of patients applied muscle relaxation exercise for 5 days. The other group, which is control group, applied the routine treatment. Looking at the results, it was seen that the progressive muscle relaxation method reduced stress and improved sleep quality in patients. PMR lowers blood pressure and heart rate, and with their occurrence in the long run, reduces stress by lowering cortisol levels. There are different methods of concentrating and relaxing each muscle group in this process, and it varies according to the part of the body. The students can repeat this during the stress process after learning the appropriate methods for themselves. Parents play very important roles in their children's life. It's obvious. Family pressure on high school students is another factor that puts them under stress. Parents caring too much about school grades and putting pressure on them, lack of empathy. Communication problems always mean a tense environment at home. To overcome this, firstly, parents should share with their children what went wrong in the child's life and what can be done to fix it, so that the child does not become anxious by fear or failure or feeling inadequate. But on the contrary, he goes on top his failures. If parents overdo it, stress can cause depression or panic attacks in children. Instead of giving so much importance to academic success, parents should give importance to their children's hunger to learn something and their desire for self-development. Although parents play the biggest role in controlling parental pressure, one of the things students can do is exercise. It's another method. Social life has an important place in the lives of high school students, and sports both provide them with a social life and reduce their stress. So, how? The effect of adding movement to life and being active on the human body is combined with a healthy body and healthy mind. The endorphin hormone secreted during exercise, which is really important because it's also known as the happiness hormone. It acts as a drug in body. A happy person is thus far away from the stress of daily life and replaces the feeling of stress with happiness and relaxation. On the other hand, during active movements, people focus on body movements and what the sport feels like. So it can be called a meditation activity. In summary, making students aware of social factors, the behaviors of their peers and parents, their search for identity, and adaptation process can be effective, and teaching them to cope with stress with some techniques such as exercise, program muscle relaxation method, breathing exercises can reduce their stress and offer them mental health and therefore a healthy and successful high school experience.
Hello everyone, my name is Vefa. I'm a student in Bilgi University. Today my presentation is about what's the fear about the future, and I wish it will be helpful for you. Fear about the future is a feeling of restlessness that can be mild or severe, such as fear. Everyone experiences feelings such as anxiety and fear to a certain extent in their life. Unknown and obscurity, exciting a certain level can begin to disrupt the rate of individual's life. The future also includes the concept of obscurity, so thinking about the future, the possibilities and options that will be encountered in the future can cause fear in a person. Who feel fear about the future? People can experience future fear at many points in their lives, especially situations such as education, during exam time, marriage, which they define as a turning point in their lives, can lead to this feeling more. Nowadays, the most worried about the future is experienced by individuals who are preparing for a university exam during adolescence and who are looking for a job. One of these reasons was finally added to the COVID-19 pandemic. Another question is, how those people feel and which symptoms they have. There are two types of symptoms who feel fear about the future. Physical, it's the first symptom, and mental, it's another symptom. Physical observed symptoms are the nervous system that we cannot control. These symptoms that appear in the body have a nervous system that functions outside the control of the individuals in the body. Also, this symptom can cause difficult breathing, dry mouth, tremor, sweating. Another factor is mental symptom. Mental symptom obscured humans' feeling. Feeling alien to the outside world detected from oneself, feeling alien to one's body or any part of the body are also mental symptoms. But what can be done for fear about the future? First of all, setting goals and plans.